Hello again everyone, welcome to another Magic the Gathering online video. I am BBD and I am battling Modern? That's right, Modern. And if you read an article I wrote a few weeks back called Packing Heat in Modern, you may realize that I like to pack some heat. And by pack I mean pack rat. And by heat I mean just a little bit of warmth. So really, this is a mutation on one of the decks from that article, and I've been testing it and tuning it a lot actually over the past few days, and I've been having great results with it. Actually, I think the deck's actually very good. Obviously, playing it in a tournament would be the only way to know for sure, but other than that, I really think that this deck is awesome. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it. I guess I will say that I have gone 4-0 in the last 3 daily events with it, and I was tearing up some 8-mans until a burn opponent put an end to that nonsense. So not great against burn, but pretty good against the field, or so it seems. So start with the mana base here. We have a bunch of basics and some fetches and some godless shrines. So we don't have to deal a lot of damage to ourselves with lands, which is very fortunate. A lot of decks just crush themselves by like fetching into shocks all the time, but being a two-color deck, we can actually get a lot of basics, and our curve is actually super low, so a lot of times we can fetch, like play a fetch land and fetch a tapped Godless Shrine as well, plenty of times. We have a Singleton Urborg, which has significantly overperformed. I don't think you can ever really want to play two, but it's been very, very good. We have 4 Mutavaults and 2 Tech Edge, so we have a lot of colorless lands, which can occasionally be an issue in casting cards like Liliana or Brimaz, but some of the sideboard cards as well, Fulminators, Linvala, Wrath. But really, I think that it's overall this is a fine split. 4 Mutavaults is pretty much a necessity with Pack Rat, in my opinion, and I also think that Mutavault is just actually very, very good, even on its own, even without Pack Rat. I've been winning a lot of games with Mutavault, so really happy with the mana base so far. Haven't had a lot of problems with it. 7 removal spells, I think that's just a solid number to have, alongside 4 lilies. We have 7 discard spells as well, which again, I like this number a lot. I'm all about the rule of 7. 7's a lucky number. So we have 7 discard spells, and then 3 Tide Hollows, which sort of serve as like half discard, half tempo. This card isn't great, but it's not bad either, and I think that it's just a necessity in this kind of a deck, because sometimes it's just very versatile. So I don't love the Sculler, but at the same time I don't think I would want to cut him. Pack Rat's really powerful, especially with all these cards, and Bob is very powerful as well. Going Thoughtseize into Bob, or Thoughtseize into Rat, or Inquisition into either of these is an extremely like potent start against a lot of decks, where they're forced to interact with this immediately or they just die. And a lot of times when you draw this later in the game, it's very good as well. 2 Brimaz. Brimaz isn't the most impressive card in Modern. There's a lot of Abrupt Decays, but there are a lot of matchups where this card extremely overperforms. Blue-White Red, for example, has a very hard time beating Brimaz. So I do like Brimaz a lot. Soul's extremely powerful. I've been actually very, very happy with Lingering Souls, so card is pretty powerful right now. 4 Lilianas. This is actually the first event I've played 4 Lilianas in, because I only owned 3 up to this point, but I splurged on the 4th, so Liliana is extremely expensive on Magic Online. Probably more expensive than real life, to be honest. So I think Liliana has been consistently very good, so I don't think having a 4th one is a problem, probably a good thing. And then 1 Sorin. Sorin has also been pretty good, but Sorin is also not the kind of card that you want too many of. You don't want to draw too many of these, but Sorin has been very good. I've ultimated a number of times actually, and the emblem has been sweet with Brimaz and Lingering Souls. So overall, though, this is basically Black-White Jund. I wouldn't call it like, it's not tokens, it's not hate bears. It's just actual Jund, but it's just straight Black-White. And let's look at the sideboard here for a second as well. So we have 3 relics. I had Rest in Peace originally, but it was kind of narrow. There are some matchups where my opponent has like Snapcaster, and that's it. I'm not sure, do I bring in Rest in Peace against that? It's hard to say, but with Relic, you can just 100%, yeah, I'll bring in the Relics, and then even if they don't draw cards that interact with their graveyard, I still get to cantrip off it. So this is awesome in like Goyf matchups, Snapcaster matchups. Against Pod, it's fantastic against Pod. So there's a lot of matchups where Relic's really sweet. You could argue for playing Nile Spellbomb instead, but because Nile Spellbomb doesn't hit our own graveyard where we have Lingering Souls, and you can activate it for free if you don't have a mana open. But I actually like Relic a little bit better because the activated ability on Relic has been very good as well. So you can just activate if you play it on turn 1, you can just activate it every turn and whittle down your opponent's graveyard, and that actually saves you from having to use the activated ability on it until much later. So that's a pretty nifty thing. Disenchant and Stony Silence. Stony is for affinity, also good against Tron. Disenchant is for a variety of matchups. I like it for Pod. I like it for like Splinter Twin sometimes, especially if they're trying to Batterskull you. And then there's a couple other Affinity is another big one too. You definitely want against Affinity. Wrath. There's a lot of matchups where we want Wrath. I even sometimes bring it in against decks like Junk or Jund. I just bring in like one copy to just demise sometimes, where they'll get like 2 glyphs out, and you can just Wrath them and then play Lingering Souls or whatever. Linvalis for Pod and Twin. Mostly Pod though. Fulminators have been very good. They don't come in that often, but when they do, they're fantastic. So I like Fulminator a lot against sometimes against manlands. I like it against Affinity, killing Ink Moths and Blink Moths, and it's obviously very good against Tron and Scape Shift and decks like that. So Fulminator's been pretty sweet, and Sin Collector's been really sweet as well. Sin Collector's good actually in a lot of matchups to the point where having a third would not be out of the realm of possibility. One thing I will say is a lot of these decks have Memoricide and end up cutting it. I think Memoricide's a fine card. I've played it before, but there's only a few decks where you really want it, like Storm, which I haven't seen a lot anyway, and to be honest, I don't think that we're a dog to Storm. We have so much discard. We have Sin Collectors as well and Relics, Disenchants and stuff. I don't think we're a dog to Storm at all. And then Liliana to strip their hand even more. So there's like decks like Storm, and then there's like Scape Shift is the big one, and then it's like okay against Tron, but really other than that, I don't think Memoricide's where I want to be. But yep, this deck's pretty sweet, and I actually really enjoy playing it as well. So hopefully we have some good matches here in the daily event, and hopefully I don't embarrass myself by 0-2ing after talking this deck up about how I've been 4-0ing. So I guess we'll have to find that out. But hopefully you stay tuned and watch.